Hey guys, Lugiamaster here, and for the month of October, I'm going to be doing Creepypasta readings, Legends of Yu-Gi-Oh's Worst, and maybe a Lugia Reacts or a Night of Misfits if I find the time to do either one of those two. So, for the spirit of Pokemon Sword and Shield coming out next month, I'm going to be doing a Pokemon-based Creepypasta. This story is called Meloetta's Dreadful Tune. Without further ado, let's get into this. Meloetta's Dreadful Tune. It all started when I had the urge to play my old Pokemon White. Sadly, I could not find that wonderful game, even though I could have sworn I had it somewhere in a drawer. After being a bit disappointed, I decided to go to GameStop and simply buy a new one. The next day, I went to the old game store and ended up buying a used Pokemon White game. While I was there, I also ended up buying an action replay, since my last one had been broken for quite a while now. Once I reached the couch at my home, I inserted the Pokemon game into my DS and began to play. The intro was completely normal and nothing out of the ordinary was going on. After the intro ended, I got hit with an idea that intrigued me. I then reset and grabbed my action replay and inserted the Pokemon game into it. After the action replay did its intro showing all the available games you can hack and screw up, the action replay directed me to the Pokemon White codes. I quickly scanned through the ones that were fairly decent for now until I felt adding more via internet. I then saw they added a Pokemon modifier with a list of all Pokemon, which, if chosen, would appear in the wild by pressing select. I went to the new legendary Pokemon and thought of which one I should choose to accompany my starter that I chose. For some strange reason, the Pokemon Meloetta caught my eye, and I remembered reading about it somewhere on the internet. I chose it and began the Pokemon game. When it started, once again, the normal intro started with the normal stuff. I pressed A and the game skipped to the usual selection, continue or new game. The other options did not appear for some reason, but I didn't care since I would simply start a new game anyway. I usually click continue to see what the person before me had accomplished, but I was in a hurry to play the game. I did this sequence of button pressing to delete the previous file and then clicked the new game option. The game started up and did the intro of the journey, where the professor does the normal explanation of Pokemon and asks the simple questions. After that was done, my current info that I had put in for the questions was name, Silver, as I name all of the protagonists of the Pokemon games, gender, male. After a couple of hours of playing, I had caught the Meloetta I had wanted and gotten around the second gym. After completing the Pinwheel Forest event, I found out that Meloetta could learn a special move called Relic Song. This made me more into the game itself. I also found out that you must go to a certain place that I can't really remember. After that, you must talk to some music player and Meloetta would come out and instantly learn this move. I did this many times, but sadly, each time I tried, nothing happened. I knew there are only two reasons why this didn't work. One, it has to be some sort of event Meloetta, or two, I must beat the entire game for this to happen. So I assumed I had to beat the game. After a whole day of playing the game, I had successfully gotten to the last gym, and of course needed the last badge before I could continue to the Elite Four and the final battle with N. Once I was in Opelucid City, I was directed, by this I mean my character had moved on its own, to a lady who looked like she was playing on a flute. My character had then began to talk to her. This lady simply played music that sounded off-tune and unpleasant. My Meloetta released itself from its Pokeball and began to dance to the strange tune. After the disturbing song, the message Meloetta has learned Relic Song came onto the screen. It did not give me the option of erasing one of Meloetta's moves. I didn't really care because my Meloetta had finally learned the move. I now know that was a mistake. Then I got into a battle with the young lady that had apparently taught my Meloetta the move. She placed her Sigilif into battle as I did my Meloetta. I wasn't able to choose the move I had wanted, but instead the move Relic Song was picked. My Meloetta had went first and used the move. The screen went to black, and I could hear the cry of the Sigilif at a very high pitch. The screen went back to normal, and the Sigilif, looking somewhat different, had made its final cry before dropping down like a Pokemon that had fainted did. Nothing showed up saying that the Pokemon had fainted, but instead the battle just ended. When I returned to the overworld, the lady who I had battled was nowhere to be seen. I began to think about the move, and whether the lady's disappearance was supposed to happen. I used the move on countless trainers near the city, and it seemed each time I did use the move, it would always end up hitting and instantly knocking out the opponent's Pokemon, and the trainers would disappear. I also ended up battling Iris, but each time I beat her, she never gave me the badge, and I always said, after a loss, "You are not worthy for this badge." This made me quite angry, and I shut the game off. After a couple of weeks, I picked it back up and began to play it. I forgot which city I had been in by then, and when I went to the overworld, I was in a forest of some kind. I could not check my map, and I couldn't use any items or Pokemon that had the move Fly. The only thing I could do was check my trainer profile. I hesitated for a while, but eventually I worked up the courage and pressed A. The trainer was surely different. His face was quite pale, and his eyes were blank. Other than that, he was normal. I exited out of the profile and tried to get out of the forest. Sadly, each time I entered A, what was supposed to be a new level or part of the forest would just return me to the same place I was last. After doing this for over 30 minutes, I got annoyed. I tried entering one more time. When I did, it seemed that I got lucky and a new level was actually revealed. I continued on until I got to the end. It looked like when you reach the final Team Plasma grunt at the Pinwheel Forest event. I walked to the middle where what looked like a Meloetta was standing in the spot. My character began to move by itself again, and ended up talking to the Meloetta. The Pokemon looked at my character and began a song. The tune was near the same as the one played by the lady at Opalucid, except had more of a higher pitch and Lavender Town-like theme to it. A battle then commenced, and Meloetta was on the other side. I sent out my starter Pokemon, which was now a Samurott. The level difference was quite big. My Pokemon's level was simply 72, while Meloetta was level 99. I checked my team, which was sadly my only faithful Samurott, and no Meloetta or any other of my Pokemon that were once on my team. The battle continued, and of course Meloetta went first, except she didn't use the Relic Song attack, which was a surprise to me, but instead used Curse. Since Meloetta was a non-ghost type, it only raised its attack and defense stats while lowering its speed. My Samurott then used its Hydro Pump, which did absolutely nothing. The Meloetta then used Curse again. I used another Hydro Pump. After this, the Meloetta finally used its Relic Song, which made the hairs on the back of my spine rise. The screen went to black and stayed that way. Once I reset the game, it still had the continue option, but each time I tried doing something different, it always happened the exact same. My character never gained past the final gem. I don't really understand this, but I've come to think that the person who obviously hacked this game to a strange end possibly tried to make the player think. Think about life. That everything doesn't always go as planned. That you don't always get what you want. Perhaps this is very life itself. So, I have some things to say about this creepypasta. It's not that scary in my opinion, but two, there were some spelling errors within it. Not gonna hold that against the writer. I just try to go with the flow, and I just read what I thought was to be said. But other than that, I found it to be quite enjoyable. And if you want to read it on your own, rather than just go check it out. It's a pretty cool creepypasta read. Other than that, I don't have much to say. So if you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to join the Creeper Cat Army. I will see you later, recruits. Peace out.